is Jeff Renou. I'm actually, how I got here was, I've been on my spiritual journey for most of my life. 2008, 2009, I lost everything. And like I like to say, I lost everything, but I found myself. I also was realizing at that point, thank God, I had gone through some self-help training that was really amazing. It was up in Utah. It was the closest thing to getting to God without religion interfering with it. It was absolutely amazing. So it gave me a little bit of my spiritual awakening. I've gone through many spiritual awakenings through my life where I've had little jolts here and there in my life and then go back into mundane life and live a regular life. But 2008, 2009, when I lost everything, that's when I truly decided, you know what, I've been living life by default my whole life. Let me start choosing my own life. I am the creator. I didn't realize at the point, but I had chosen my life up to that point, but now I was realizing I didn't like where I was at. I wasn't really happy. Yeah, I was making good money, but you know, what's money when you're not happy? And so at that point, I really got a chance to study and go after my spiritual journey. Thank God at that time too, my parents had helped me out on some of this. You know, they thought I was kind of weird at first. But then they started to just, you know, they started to open up, and I think that's just that creative energy working with me and taking me to where I needed to go. And when you open yourself up to that, that creative energy will just grab you and take you where you need to go if you know how to ask, and also if you know how to accept the proper way. And that's a big thing too, because a lot of people definitely know how to ask, but do they know how to actually receive it? Because you can receive it in many, many different ways. It might not even look like what you think it's going to look like, but you know, if you're open to it, you never know how your life is going to change. So my life changed at that point, and I started to pursue my spirituality and understanding who I was, what was everything out there. Well, I'll just go into the next slide really quick, because let me just get to this, because just like so many of us, you know, if you saw the title of my speech, it's why, because I was in a rush to create something, and I was driving to work in the morning, and I had this great idea in my head. Everything flowed perfectly. Why came out as the title. But when I got someplace to write things down, I couldn't remember everything. So it is because I was rushed on what's why. But there's a reason for that, and it's because when we search for truth, a lot of times after we start to understand the truth and start to see some of the truth, we're like, why? Why is it like this? Because it gets even weirder, and life gets weirder. And so that's why the title is Why. I don't know if it's going to make real sense to this, but that's my thought pattern on it, is that it's just like the more you delve into something, the more I'm asking why on a lot of things. Why does it work this way? Why does it have to happen that way? Wait, you're telling me it works multiple ways, not just one way? If I observe it this way, it changes, but if I don't observe it, it acts different? That's crazy stuff. It's stuff that we're not taught here in our normal society. And that's where, to me, I was just started to really question things. And as a kid, I was questioning things as well, too. And so, as a kid, I used to lie awake, I mean, as long as I can remember from the youngest age, just to lie awake at night, sitting there thinking about the stars and just feeling like, man, they have to end somewhere. But they can't. They can't end. But wait a minute, they have to end. There has to be a wall, there has to be a barrier, there has to be something. But if there's something, if there's a barrier, if there's a wall, what the hell's on the other side of that? And so, I would literally stay up all night long thinking about that exact thing over and over again. I mean, night after night. I mean, and it would just always keep me up. And I would have to think about other things and start to daydream about other things to get my mind off of it. And you know, did it bother me? I guess in a way, because I didn't get much sleep, but it's just the way my mind works. I'm always trying to unravel what looks mysterious in front of me, and that question of infinity was just insane, especially when I was just a little kid, and I barely knew anything, but that thought just kept revolving in my head every night. The other thought is Jesus, you know, and I used to lay awake at night in bed too, thinking about Jesus. I was not brought up religiously at all. Never had to go to church unless I was spending the night at a friend's house, and their family took them to church, and then I would go that way. And typically then we got in trouble at church, so I wasn't really a churchgoer. I'm not a scholar of religion, but I like to study it as much as I can to understand, again, my own spirituality. To me, it doesn't matter what the names are, any of that. It just matters what the story is and what the story means to me. And I would encourage all of you to look at it the same way. It doesn't matter what the names are, where the places are. What is the story? What does that mean to you? Where does that take you? And so in my childhood, I just admired what I had heard of Jesus and the stories I have heard of Jesus and the reputation of him being such an amazing healer, such an honorable person, and that stuff got to me. I mean, I wanted to be that. I didn't want to be Jesus at all. Never ever did I want to be Jesus. But every bit of me, every bit of my soul wanted to be like Jesus. I wanted to be able to represent like that. I wanted to, be able to go through and change people's lives the way he did. I mean, I just find it absolutely amazing. So that's the other thing that really kept me up at night. And so the other thing I want to talk into here is truth, okay? So on all of this, I'm sitting there and I'm like, what is the real truth here? What is actually going on? Because I'm told one thing at school, family and other people, especially at my age, and I think a lot of us grew up around the same time, and so back then it was definitely mainly religion. There was no metaphysical stuff, at least not that I knew of. Nobody was teaching spirituality on its own. I mean, Buddha and all that stuff existed, but I didn't know about it at the time. All it was religion. And so there's so many things we were being told, but when you're looking at stuff, it's like, wait a minute. There just seems to be so much more. So what's the truth? And what is truth? And as I learned spirituality and I started to delve into spirituality, I started realizing truth is way more fascinating than I could ever imagine. Because what is truth? Truth is something that we believe in and we operate from, and that's truthfully it. So a lie can be a truth. If I tell you a lie and you believe in what I'm saying and then you act off of that, that's actually truth. You're acting as it is truth. And so now even though it started on a lie, that truth is now in the world. And so it's interesting. It's like, how can that be? And then what's fascinating is everybody can have their own truth. You can have your truth. Brent back there can have his truth. You can have your truth. And that's it. We all have our own truths. So what is truth? Truth is just what it is for you. But I also believe there's the ultimate truth, the truth of creation. Certain things that just do not change. There's the laws of existence, but if you start to really study in, a lot of these laws can be bent. Okay, you can bend time, you can bend weather, you can bend all kinds of stuff. And then through my spiritual journey, I've learned a lot of neat little tricks because of the way I was taught my existence through theta healing. And so I hear a lot of, oh, this can't be done. Oh yeah, really? Well, when it comes down to it, it's only your belief system. Your belief system is the creative energy. It makes your reality what it is, your perception. And so that can be changed, and that's the amazing thing about theta healing. If you're not aware of the modality theta healing, I would definitely recommend going and understanding it, because there's things in there that I think are absolutely life-changing, and that is understanding your belief system, your subconscious beliefs, and other stuff like that. And that's actually what my topic probably should have been today, but Sheila wanted me to keep it on what I was here to represent this weekend, and that is Etalk. And so why am I going into this stuff here? Because this is me, and Etalk is me. So, and why truth? Why did I just talk about truth this way? Because when you're trying to understand spirituality, when you're really trying to understand truth, you have to be able to wade through what seems like deceptions, lies, illusions. And what are illusions? I mean, everything's an absolute illusion. Because again, the truth and the reality is just your perception of it, but that perception is an illusion in itself. So this stuff gets so complicated and so weird in a sense, but then again, it just seems so basic. It's so basic. But in my journey, I've really had to understand truth. I have to understand when I'm talking to somebody, do I feel truth in them? And it could be what they tell me, even if it seems so far-fetched, could it really be true? Because the way I look at existence is what Albert Einstein talked about, E equals mc squared. Everything is energy, okay? And when you really study into that, you see how it makes sense and how everybody can have their own world and their own reality on one single planet. It's because of energy perception and all of that great fun stuff. So understanding truth is a big thing when you start to go study this stuff, because you got to dissect things. You got to understand, because the spiritual world is way more elusive, I think, than so many other parts of the world, because you have friends, you know, I had friends growing up that were like, oh, I can see these angels and I can see these different things, and I couldn't see them. But they would tell me these amazing things, and my friends could tell me certain things about myself that not many people knew about, and I knew they didn't know about it. So it's like, how do they know this? How, you know, so are they seeing these people that they claim to see? I can't see them. So again, do I trust them? Do I have do I feel they're truthful? So truth, I think, is a big thing to understand to be able to move forward, and especially in the subject that I'm going to move forward into today with you guys here. And so, like I've been telling you, my whole journey has been about spirituality, understanding my spirituality, understanding my connection to the creative energy of all that is. I was solid on that path. I was creating my own wellness center here in Las Vegas. It was called the Sacred Art of Healing. I was out in the northwest side of town. I don't know if you guys were familiar with Luminosity Wellness Center. I used to be affiliated with there. I helped run that for about 5 years with Christine Essex. Matter of fact, how it all changed all of a sudden was I was actually helping Sheila, who is putting on this event. I was helping her here at this place here. There was a 5D event here. She had a booth here, and I was helping her at her booth. And this guy, Brad Olson, had the booth next to her. Well, you saw the blue hair guy, Mr. Blue, who was just in here helping us out. He called me up the day before I got there, and he's like, dude, you're gonna be loving it. This guy Brad's here. He was on Ancient Aliens, all this stuff. And of course, I'm way into that show because it was opening up my reality to places that we weren't really being told about. And it was opening me up to new questions in life. And so I just love that show. And when I heard that, I'm like, oh man, because I've been sitting there, especially, you know, with David Childress and Giorgio, the two stars of the show. Ever since the show came out, I'm like, oh my God, I want to talk stone with these people and talk about Egypt, the carvings and all this, because my trade is, I'm a stonemason. I do marble and granite work. So when I see the temples and all that stuff that have been created, I'm just like, there's no way they could have just came out of a cave with a chisel and a hammer and created the stuff that we are seeing today. There is no way possible they could do that. Because I'm telling you right now, you'd be carving away on your big old petroglyph on the wall here, and all of a sudden you hit a vein, it just, the whole thing falls. What do? Start all over again, rewrite the story a little bit because you no longer have that chunk there? What do? So there's no way they were doing it. All this stuff seemed really crazy. But anyhow, I'll get back to my story. So Brad, who's been on Ancient Aliens, was next to her. I go help her out. I get to meet Brad. We start talking. Boom, all of a sudden he becomes a good friend of mine. We spent a whole week together. I actually met a few other people that have become really good friends of ours. And so we call ourselves the band now because we met here. We hung out all week long. We ended up in Little Alien, which is Rachel, Nevada, about Area 51. We were looking at the sky. I had a really unique experience there. That was my own personal experience. Nobody else saw. But it was unique to me, and so I find it special. But it started a special relationship with me and my friends, and it took me on a whole nother journey. And so I had just basically finished redesigning the wellness center I had a nice little setup. I had a nice little yoga room, classroom, session room. I was all set. But all of a sudden my friend just took me in a different direction, and my energy, my thoughts for that, I just kind of let slip away. And now I started going after the paranormal, the UFOs, all these different things, and I just wanted to know. I mean, I want to know, what is my connection to the creative energy of all that is? I know that I am them, they are me, I know all of that. how does that work? Why is it like that? And so I want to understand, what are these other races like? What are their relationship to their creator? Well, how do they view this? Do they not care? What is this? And so that's why I'm doing this. To me it's just a new progression to go out there. And I had all these notes, but because we set this up like this, I'm kind of winging this here, so hopefully I don't miss much. So basically, yes, this is what Etalk's about. And so Etalk is about me. Okay, basically the way I looked at it, and this is the same way I was doing when I was going through my spiritual journey. I was finding new paths on how could I learn quicker, because I felt like I was kind of behind on my learning growth spiritually. So I realized, hey,
just so you know, your camera just stopped.
On this camera?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
Okay. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to let you know.
No, thank you though. But okay, where was I at now?
Oh, sorry.
Oh no, you're good. You're good.
Where were you at with your spiritual?
On your journey, you had the Theta Center.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So basically, I'm searching for how am I connected? How are they connected? How do they view things? And so it was just a natural progression for me to move into something else more exciting, different. I mean, I love existence here. I love being on this earth, but you're going to tell me there's something crazier out there that I can start researching? I'm down. Let me go check it out. And so that's what I'm doing. I met amazing friends. I've got to meet, and hang out with everybody from Ancient Aliens now. So now I'm actually sitting there talking shop with David Childress and Giorgio, crazy hair Giorgio, if you've ever seen the show. I mean, amazing people. And I get to sit there and talk shop with these guys now. So it's just like, boom, how did that happen? Did I manifest it? I think I did, in a sense, because I just watched how this is all unfolding, and it's really spectacular. So if I'm remembering what my notes say here, right? I'm trying to lead into the right segment here. So basically, when I was learning spirituality, some of the very first things you start to learn about are ghosts, spirits, demons, your guardian angels, your guides, all these different things, okay? And so that was pretty spectacular as well. And in Theta Healing, we learn how to move our conscious, we learn how to connect to all these different things. So let me tell you, when I'm connecting into somebody and they can describe the same thing I'm seeing, it's mind-blowing. And so to start to experience guardian angels and all this stuff, it was amazing. And so then, of course, I'm on the computer researching stuff. I discover orbs. Well, I think I knew about orbs before this, but I really started getting into seeing orbs and stuff, or researching orbs. And then with meeting Brad and that, I started to buy equipment so I can start to figure this stuff out, start to research for this myself. And so I started picking up orbs everywhere I go, and I thought that was pretty fascinating. And of course, then it progressed on from there. But so first, what I want to do here really quick is show a couple orbs that I find very interesting, because a lot of times when you talk about orbs, people are like, oh, it's just a particle, a dust particle, it's the reflection in the lens, a lot of things. And I agree upon that. A lot of times that is the case. But there's more than often it's not the case. When you watch these things move like they have an intelligence, like they have a purpose, it's not a dust particle for one, okay? And you gotta ask yourself, what is this? So I got a camera that had infrared on it, and I started to just use it everywhere. And I started picking up orbs everywhere. Every hotel I went into, I got them. I actually checked my room last night. I didn't have any orbs in my room, which I found very surprising. I thought, this place for sure, downtown here, this place has been here a while. I figured I'd get orbs in my rooms. Because again, what is an orb? Is it a ghost? And this is when questions can be asked too when we go into this next part here, because I'm going to show you guys some stuff. I want your feedback on it too, because I'm trying to learn here. I would like your ideas, because you can spark new questions for me, and I can be asking, well, why is that? And keep moving forward. So the very first one here, I was at a conference. I think this was 2018. This was in Laughlin, Nevada here. I was staying at the Don Laughlin. I forget, I think I was in room 209. I got there, I turned on my camera at midnight after the sun was down, and I came back into my room. And I picked up all kinds of orbs. Probably got 10 orbs that day within about a 2-minute period. I had a few of them on here, but they're really just quick things, and I'd rather show you something nice and long. Not that this is a really long video, but it's a longer version of it. So really quick, we'll show this one. It's going to show it in real time. And then I have it replaying in slow motion 3 times, so you can actually watch it and really observe what it's doing and take a look for it at it, because you really want to look at everything, because when you start to see orbs, you're going to see things that are happening that are weird, distortion, trails, different things like that. So I'm only saying this for you guys to, what's your understanding of, what's your truth of this? What are you seeing? I don't need you to believe in what I'm believing in. I have my own truth, and I will determine what I believe is true in myself. But I'm just bringing these questions up to you guys so you guys can see this, because I think there's a lot of strangeness in this creation and what is actually going on here. So as you can see, that one changes direction 1, 2, 3, 4. At least 4 times it changes directions. So that obviously can't be a dust particle. That would take that right out. It definitely takes out the reflection of the camera, because how it moves across there, my camera would have to be moving the same directions in order to create the reflection. Okay, I'm not I can operate a camera pretty good. I'm not a camera expert on everything on it, but that's my opinion on that right away. What do you think of that? I mean, anybody have any questions on that, what they feel?
Was that a live something, or was it reacting to an energy field?
That's a good question. All I can say is I came in with my camera. I had just got back from going out to eat. It was about midnight. I turned on my camera. It was only a few months after I first got it. I messed around in my office, got a lot of orbs in my office before I turned it on. Once I turned on record, because I was just going around going, oh, that's cool. Didn't realize I didn't have it on record. Once I turned it on record, I didn't get as many from there, and they weren't as cool. This was after about 2 minutes. I was getting a bunch over here and there, but they're really quick and really faint, so I didn't think it would be a good thing to show right now. This one here, you have a long thing. And so that's what I'm trying to determine. Are these things alive? It acts like it has an intelligence there. And so what is this? Is this a ghost? Is it an evil entity? Because a lot of us, like you watch Ghost Adventures, they're going to make you think that this is an evil entity. And see, a lot of stuff I'm going to do is going to probably make fun of that because of my, my understanding of spirituality and who I am. I'm not afraid of these things. I mean, they've been here the whole time. We just didn't notice it because we didn't have the IR camera to turn it on to see they're there. But they're everywhere. And they don't ever affect, they haven't affected me, but I can tell you my theories on that as well too. I think it depends where you're at spiritually, who you are as a person. Do you get frightened easy? Are you intimidated easy? It goes a lot with your personality, I believe, on how you can be affected by spirits out there. But to me, the question is, what is that? Is it a spirit? Is it a ghost? Is it another thing? Well, I'm going to get into it in some other clips here, but ghost imprints. So what are orbs? Ghost imprints, spirits, evil spirits. Does anybody know what a ghost imprint is? So ghost imprint, what that is basically if I'll describe it the way Vianna Steibel talks about it. She's the founder of Theta Healing. So up in Idaho Falls, up in Yellowstone Park, there's a part there that has a waterfall. And so every now and then it happens early in the morning from what I've heard. I've never seen it myself, but the mist will get going and early in the morning because it's in an imprint of energy, okay? And so in the mornings you can see 2 Native Americans that are basically madly in love. They're cuddled together and they're basically hugging and kissing, and you see the ghostly silhouette of them. And so they're not moving anything particular. Well, they can be moving. Like I said, these 2 are kind of like snuggling together from what I have been told. Other ones I've heard from Vienna, because Vienna has amazing stories because of what she does. But up in Idaho Falls, I don't know if it was Vienna at her house or relatives or what, but they talk about in one of the houses up there in Idaho Falls, they're at a certain time of the year, they'll actually see a half of a farmer from way back whenever that just comes through. It's just a ghost imprint, and he's just still plowing the lawn or plowing the fields, and it's just this half of a body that comes through their house at a certain time of the year. So I don't think the orbs are ghost imprints, but I want to put it up there because, again, we got to question everything to really find truth. And so, are they spirits or evil spirits? I think it very well could be either one of those as well too. I do believe that orbs can be ghosts. I believe they can be spirits, one and the same, I guess, if you want to say, or they can even have an evil intent. There's definitely a lot of history showing negative things and orbs being in the same energy, you know, especially Ghost Adventures. I'm not going to say I know a lot of their stuff is actually manipulated to try to make it seem scarier or whatever. But there is cases where they have negative energies or something within the house and they are catching spirits. And so I'm definitely down with they can be evil spirits as well. But there's some other things to really ask yourself, are they? And could it be energy bleeding from another dimension? This is something I'm really looking at now and I'm really curious about. Could it just be a massive energy that's, you know, bleeding through from another dimension? Because as we should know, it's dimension on top of dimension on top of dimension here. All this stuff that seems like empty space is not empty space. And so what's going on here? I'm a big believer that it could definitely be that. I've experienced a lot of unique things that would even take me there as well too. And again, you guys can ask questions, speak your mind right here if you want, and give me your opinion.
Well, that was my, I was gonna mention that earlier about that because I think that could be intelligence or consciousness energy that we cannot visibly see it. So they are in different dimension, existing at the same dimension that we're in. We're just in a third dimension form, but they may be in different form where our physical eye can't see.
Yeah, exactly.
But energetically we can see, and through the camera you can catch that.
Yes, and the camera can break down the barriers. And it's very interesting. I'll get into Skinwalker Ranch a little bit later if anybody's familiar with Skinwalker Ranch. But talking about using a camera and doing things physically, sometimes it seems like they can read your thoughts. So sometimes the camera can be the barrier that breaks it down to where you can actually see through those other dimensions, or however you want to look at it. And I'm glad you just brought it up the way you did, because the next question is, could it be energy coming through a different dimension, or could it just be consciousness? Because I know in Theta Healing, what I do is I send my consciousness, I can send it into you, and I could read your body, I can read your body. We can all read everybody's body if you know how to move your consciousness into something else. I can read the walls, I can read the extension cord, I can read whatever I want. Everything has a life force in it, everything has a type of energy and feeling in towards it, and so you can feel anything. I mean, I have friends that tell me they'd be looking for their keys energetically, and my one friend, she's like, yeah, I was looking for my keys and I just kept getting that feeling, I'm trapped, I'm trapped, I'm trapped. And you know where she found her keys? Under some books. And so, she's getting the energy right, but you just have to interpret it the right way, which is amazing. But could it be conscious? Because like I say, I'll send my conscious out. And is there a ball of energy that's going? Because there definitely is some type of, or at least I believe, there's some type of mass when you send your consciousness out. I do know when in Theta Healing, I took a class called Intuitive Anatomy. It's a 16-day course, it's very intense. Every day you work on a new part of the anatomy, and we learn it energetically and emotionally all about the body. When we did the immune system, it was really amazing. So in Theta Healing, we're always taught to bring your conscious in as light as a feather. We have courses like that. Do you know this?
Well, what came to me that because you know how everything expressed in either codes, numbers. So I even wonder if consciousness is just a package of coding and numbers. Like our bodies, we have all these codes, like chemical codes.
Yes.
And in everything that we have in technology is all coding, and everything in universe is all numerology. Could that be that? So when we send that consciousness of coding,
Yes, I will go with there 100%
Yeah.
because as we know, mathematics can unravel everything. And so yes, we could go, like if I had more time, I was planning on going into sacred geometry as well too, because I want to show the weirdness of this and that there is a divine pattern to this, like what you're talking about right now. There is a divine pattern to creation. And when you study it and look at it, it becomes really amazing and fascinating. And so yes, it could be that coding as well too. But yes, in Theta Healing, so we're taught to send our consciousness, okay? And so in Intuitive Anatomy, in that class, when we worked on the immune system, and again, like when we're taught to move our consciousness into people, we're taught to go in as light as a feather. And so when we did the immune system, when I would bring my consciousness into somebody, it was amazing what would happen, the transition. I could feel the immune system bullying my consciousness around and trying to get my consciousness out of the body because it was aware I was there.
wow.
And it's so powerful to see that. And it's that understanding of knowing your relationship again, your consciousness, what it can do. But so for everybody that just got here, we're basically going in right now into orbs and talking about orbs and what are orbs, what are the relationships, are they ghosts, are they ghost imprints, are they evil spirits, stuff like that. We're just now talking about, could it be energy bleeding through dimensions? And then now we just got off the part of, could it be consciousness? When we send our consciousness somewhere, could that orb actually be the consciousness? And we're seeing the consciousness travel. I'm fascinated by all of it. I really think it could be a little bit of everything. But I'm very curious to find out. So I am very much studying this and trying to go forward. So here I'm going to probably flub a little bit since I have to wing this. I don't have my lecture notes on this part, but, so here's another video of an orb, or orbs. Let me see if I can stop this really quick.
Yeah, you got it. You got it, Joe.
Okay, hopefully I'll be able to play it again really quick. So let me set this up really quick. So these are my two beautiful daughters, okay? One of them is sitting right there, the youngest one. Okay, this video was shot by my mom, okay? So what happened is my mom's late husband passed away. She got really good friends with his mother. So when his mother got cancer and was starting to pass away, my mom went back and took care of her for 6 months. She unfortunately passed away. My mom came back to Vegas and was back here in Vegas. She said 3 days later she was sleeping at night, woke up in the middle of the night, and there's this huge purple orb above her bed. She was scared out of her mind. The orb instantly disappeared. Nothing happened after that. A few months later, it's Christmas time. My two beautiful daughters are over at my mom's house, and they're hanging out, having a good time. Let me see if I can get back to the beginning of this video. And so that big orb disappeared and went away. Then she shot this video, and we'll talk about. So watch, there's all kinds of blue orbs you'll see in this video. You'll see them shooting across the ground.
Is this with your infrared or?
No, this is just with a regular old cell phone, which is even more amazing because you typically won't see orbs that are colored like this, blue. So I don't know if you guys can notice them, but they're just going everywhere. It's absolutely amazing. Some of the people I've shown this to, they're like, this is the best orb video I've ever seen. I had a girl I just met in Sedona that she had a good, look at that one there.
Oh, yeah,
That's mind-blowing right there because, again, talking about sacred geometry and you start looking at that, look at that one that just passed there. But that one was so amazing, you can almost see the structure of the flower of life within that, which blows my mind. I mean, you can see the, I lost the word I was looking for there, but where the intersection patterns of the energy is in the hot spots of that, the interference patterns, that's what I was looking for. You can see the interference patterns on that orb. So that's basically towards the end here. But what I believe now happened.
That's cute.
Didn't mean to embarrass you, Marlena, but so what I think happened here is, to me, these are beautiful divine spirits that came back to thank my mother. Okay, the big orb came back that the third night she was back, and came, I think, to say thank you. But since my mom got scared from it, it instantly vanished because it didn't want to scare my mother. So I think they divinely came back in the most amazing way to show themselves to my mother that it was not fearful at all. And she just sat there and recorded and had no idea these orbs were appearing on the phone at all. And how often do we record something and hardly ever play it back? And just for her to go back and do the replay to see that it's there, I find this all divine.
And then she saw it before she videoed this one, correct?
She saw the orb above her bed with her own eyes.
Before.
Yes. This is a few months later. Now it's Christmas time. My kids come over and they're hanging out with her. And she never knew the orbs were in the video at all until she played it back days later. And then she sent it to me.
Could that be him because he got blue hair?
It could be his family.
And the race and the blues.
Am I running out of time here?
You are, sir.
Oh, great. Are you the next speaker?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll try to make this quick then, because I would like to show you a couple more really weird things, because the more I do research, and I'm just getting started at this, the crazy stuff that I find. Are you okay if I go to?
Sure.
How much time do I have?
I'd give it 2-3 minutes.
Okay, so let's try to make this
He
quick.
got pushed back
So-
over a half hour. He
Oh, wait,
didn't
I'm going
start
backwards this
Over
thing.
a half hour.
What happened? What?
The
Wow, you
speaker
really
before
went
went
into
a
a big
half hour
story. You
over,
didn't even
so
get
he
into
was
the
like
order.
started.
Well,
started
I'm
by
in
half
fun.
hour.
So here's a UAP out. This is a Sedona. This was just a few months ago. We're at a Skywatch. You can see that big orb is slowly moving closer to these dots here. If we had more time, you would watch it sit there and vanish behind there. When you start to study phenomena in the sky, it gets just as weird as orbs and stuff. So what are these things? Are they UFO crafts? Are they actual orbs themselves up there? Maybe. Okay.
That was moving slowly.
Yeah, moving very slowly. So the same weekend I'm there, I'm up there for a UFO conference, go to Bradshaw Ranch. If you guys are not familiar with Bradshaw Ranch, definitely get familiar with it, because there's a lot of weird things that have happened there. It seems like it's kind of quieted down there, but you have everything from UFOs, raptors, dinosaurs, I mean, just amazing things. If you ask me, from what I'm reading and researching there, it seems like there's some type of dimensional slip or something, that when the energy's just right, that all of a sudden it opens up a veil to where you can see through, maybe in different times. I'm not sure, because they're seeing things there that don't even exist in that area. They're seeing dinosaurs and different amazing things. And a lot of these things happened after a UFO sighting or UFO experience. So is that creating the opening of the veil to where you can see through dimensions? Don't know, but I'm starting to go there. Okay, so the other amazing thing there too is that Linda Bradshaw, the wife of Bob Bradshaw, who found this place and they owned it through the late 60s and early 70s, she started having communications with the Bigfoot there. And so she started leaving grapes, apples. The Bigfoot started communicating back with her. She said the Bigfoot actually left sacred geometry drawings on the ground.
Wow.
I mean, incredible stuff, if you ask me. She says that it was a female Bigfoot that was pregnant. They have a spot that they took a picture of where she was lying down on the ground, where it looks like there's a belly mark and everything like that. again, it's open to interpretation, so who knows, but very fascinating stuff. I know the researcher that was the main researcher here for all these years, Tom Dongo. I find him very credible. I like what he's taught me and shown me. Fascinating stuff out there. So if you're not familiar with Bradshaw Ranch, the government actually took it over and stopped us from going on the property, which is amazing. It says it's a experimental garden place. Yeah, Brent was just with me there. And so they don't let you there. It's BS. This is a photo me and Brent and our friend Ryan took. If you just saw in there, you'll see a flash. This is out in the middle of the space, out in the middle of the sky, and all of a sudden you're gonna see a flash there. And that just kept going. Until we got bored of looking at it. What is that? It's not a satellite because it's not moving. Satellites, again, at night, satellites do not reflect. Satellites reflect off the sunlight, so you won't see a satellite at night. But it just sits right there.
Wow.
So, there's a lot of things up there to look at and question and go, what is this? But they're just like orbs, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. The more I'm out there, the more I'm catching them. It's just absolutely amazing. So this takes me to Skinwalker Ranch. If you're not familiar with Bradshaw Ranch, which I was just showing you, hopefully you're familiar with Skinwalker. There's a series out right now on the History Channels, The Mysteries of Skinwalkers, which is really good. They're actually showing great information here. But what's awesome, there's some ranches here in America and all over the world that are just absolutely amazing. This is another one that's a paranormal hotspot. You got things from shapeshifters, Bigfoot's out here. You got, it's the considered UFO alley. I was just there a couple weeks ago. I spent the night out there by myself for a couple nights. This is the UAP I caught on the 28th of May. Oh no, I'm sorry, let me go back here really quick. Oops. It's doing it. So this, my buddy caught a year ago. We were meeting up in Vernal, Utah, which is up by Skinwalker Ranch, if you're familiar with that. This is a triangle-shaped craft that they caught 2 days before I met up with them, okay? Sorry, I'm gonna make this real quick here. This was all happened in a day and a half. God, it keeps going backwards. Okay, so my friend caught that triangle-shaped craft 2 days before I met up with him. The very next day, we went Bigfoot exploring. I'd get into that, but we'll change it. There's a branch right there you can see was twisted. Look at the size of those trees right there. They're full-grown trees. I can guarantee you no man could have twisted that branch off of there. They showed us some amazing stuff. 15 to 20 minutes into this guy taking us to these places, he said he grew up in the Ashley Forest, been there 40 years. He interacts with the Bigfoot out there because he's been out there so long. He took us directly to these structures. Within 15, 20 minutes, everybody in our party heard some type of moaning roar like a Bigfoot. To me, I don't hear any other animal that would sound like that. Unless that guy planted somebody in the forest, that was a Bigfoot. Some amazing structures here. You see, let me just show you this really quick because I want to get to my other video. This tree here is just, and these are all over the place. If you go in the forest, you can look for this, but you look at this and you look up here and you start to see, I don't know if you guys can see that from there, but the tree is entwined up here. And you can see this all over the place in some of these forests where these huge trees are bent over, and I guarantee you, 3, 4 big, huge guys, we couldn't bend these trees over, but not only do you have to bend them over, but then you gotta somehow entwine it into these other trees, and you look at this, and you're like, how are they doing it? Look at it, this is the same tree. Look at how it's just entwined into there. It's just absolutely amazing on some of this. I was never a Bigfoot guy. I just went last year, because my friend called me up in the middle, first thing in the morning, told me to get my butt out there. It was the most fascinating thing. I'm hooked. We're making plans right now to go back to the Ashley Forest and see what we can discover there. But they captured that triangle-shaped craft 2 days before this. We saw this. Then we go back to my buddy's place, which my buddy owns Space Wolf Research, which is right next door to Skinwalker Ranch, if you're familiar with that place. And so after we went Bigfooting hunting, we came back and we went to this place here. We were at Blind Frog Ranch the night before. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Caught a bunch of UAPs up in the sky. But we get here, Skinwalker, very mysterious place, very paranormal. It's quiet as can be. So we basically are all tired. We go to bed, and I'm a good person that wakes up early, so it's hard for me to stay up and do the true night watching. So I'm trying to find gimmicks on how I can still study and still capture stuff, but get my proper sleep. So I'm experimenting with stuff. So I put a bunch of cameras on a tripod, and I put it up, and I scan the sky, and I just put it out there and let it record while I went to bed and see what it caught. And I was just experimenting, so unfortunately I should have put a compass down and had directions down where everyone was pointing so I could research it and figure out if I caught anything. Lo and behold, on the cameras I caught all kinds of stuff. I couldn't even imagine the stuff that I caught. So I caught my own triangle-shaped craft, which I do believe was probably the same one my friends caught, because it's the same area 2 days before. Is it the same one? I don't know. I just speculate it probably is, since we're the same area. It's a triangle-shaped craft as well, too. But there's all kinds of anomalies going on around this craft. Really amazing stuff. At one point, I watched the craft go from right here, jump down. It's down there for a second or two, boom, jumps right back. I mean, it just jumps. It's not moving, doesn't travel. It goes from here to here, back to here. Absolutely amazing. I forgot to get the clip for you guys for this. Otherwise, I'd be showing it to you. But I'm going to show you the really spectacular stuff that I caught out of it. I caught 4 minutes of something that's amazing, and I want to show you guys. I haven't really showed anybody this except really close friends, okay? So, this is above this, my cameras are pointing above this mesa that you see here. If you know anything about Skinwalker, this is the Skinwalker Mesa. There is supposedly a portal right over here, and they're looking at another portal being here, and by talking to people out there and locals out there, there's other portals in the area out there. For Skinwalker, it isn't just Skinwalker, it's the whole Uinta Mesa. So let me show you this really quick, and I can give the room over to this guy. But this is what I caught. And if you look down here, here's the triangle-shaped craft. What's this? There'll be another UAP that actually shows up. It flashes. It's up in this corner here somewhere. You'll see it come in at one point if it already hasn't. That one will come throughout the night. It pops up for about 7 seconds and then goes away. But I have no clue what that thing is. But it's like an orb, some weird UAP. Is that triangle craft creating it? Is the triangle-shaped craft observing it? I don't know. Are they communicating? Is it two different beings communicating with each other? No clue. But I find it very, very weird. And if you're watching the Skinwalker Ranch series, the latest one, they just showed an explosion, some type of light explosion up. There's that one UAP that just flashed, and if you saw it, there it's flashing right now. But they had like this light explosion, and to me, it's similar to what I'm catching here. I'm gonna let it run through the whole segment here. It runs about 4 minutes, and then I'll get out of your hair for you. But it appears out of nowhere. It's gonna get bigger, it gets smaller, it moves around a little bit. It'll have some lights here in a second where it almost looks like it's trapped in a box as well too. And then boom, it's gone. I think right here you'll see the lines coming in. Because you can see it almost, at some points it's like there's almost smoke coming off of it or something. They'll probably sit in that spot for just a little bit because It's at the end where it really will start to move around, explode and get bigger before it zaps and goes nowhere. But while we're watching this, anybody have any thoughts or anything they want to say about it? Any questions at all? But you see how it's flaring, but there's like lines above it, and then there'd be like lines in front of it, so it's almost like it was in a box, and it just, none of it makes sense.
So you think orbs are spirits?
I mean, look at the way that it's going. I don't know. I'm thinking more of an orb, but I mean, in a sense, it looks like a flashlight almost shining. When I first saw it, I was like, is that raw in the vehicle next to me? And I'm like, wait a minute, no, my cameras were in the sky. How could it be that? And as soon as it disappears, I'll show you a really quick picture of the actual footage. I mean, it's so minute. I was lucky that I even noticed it. Otherwise, I would have missed everything on here. And there's some really interesting stuff. The other camera, I got these flashes shooting up in the sky that looked like they were headlights, but once you start analyzing it, you realize it's not coming from the road on the mountain.
Excuse me, with all due respect.
Yes.
You're starting to repeat yourself, and turn the time over to the next gentleman, sir, with all due respect. I find it interesting and taking notes, I'll follow up.
All right, well, thank you very much for that comment. Thank you. I was just trying to get through my presentation because I got here late, but thank you for that. So as you can see, yes, it gets bigger, and I apologize. I just want to show this. This was my main thing. So in this meantime here, really quick, while we're just watching the end, when it comes to Etalk and what this is about me and my journey and what I'm looking for and just my understanding of what creation is. And as I'm on this journey, I'm creating this so I can share it with everybody out there and just open it up to people and bring out what I'm learning as well too, because as I share it with everybody else, hopefully I can get feedback and learn more as well too, and keep growing with this and keep moving forward and help everybody move forward and grow as we all grow together. So thank you so much for your time.